Another day, another DeMar DeRozan sign and trade possibility, as just reported recently that the Chicago Bulls have discussed a DeMar DeRozan for Caleb Martin double sign and trade. But we also have talks that the Bulls may not be willing to even take on salary. We'll talk about it all and more right after this.
Tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
I see red, I see red, I see red, yeah, I see red, I see red, I see red, I see.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. Host there, Haize. But more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. We have conflicting reports yet again about DeMar DeRozan. About 40 minutes ago, it was reported that the Chicago Bulls have discussed a double sign-and trade with the Miami Heat that would send Caleb Martin to the Chicago Bulls for DeMar DeRozan. The reason why this is something to look out for is that, remember, in sign and trade deals, it has to be at least a 3-year contract. Now, some of those years can be non-guaranteed, but it does have to be a 3-year contract. So the Miami Heat, who seem to be circling around DeMar DeRozan, we've also gotten that DeMar DeRozan may be priced out when it comes down to potentially acquiring DeMar DeRozan. But we'll see. The Miami Heat keep being a team that's mentioned around DeMar, and that doesn't and shouldn't surprise anybody. Caleb Martin would honestly be a nice role player for this Chicago Bulls team. You look at him being a veteran, somebody who's still young enough as well, but knows how and where to how to play his role. And that is something that even with the Bulls going younger, they definitely could still value a whole lot. So Caleb Martin, to me, wouldn't make some sense for the Chicago Bulls if they were to looking to acquire some type of salary back. But then about 5 minutes ago, as I was actually setting up this live stream, we got it coming from Evan Sidri, who says that the Kings are interested in signing DeMar DeRozan per Woj, but it does say this: the Bulls are unwilling to take on contracts in a potential sign and trade, which means Sacramento must find a team willing to help facilitate it. This, again, is something opposite of what we've heard. We've heard that the Bulls actually do have an interest in Kevin Huerter. So to now hear that the Bulls aren't interested in or unwilling to take contracts back, that tells me that right now, it's all up in air when it comes to DeMar DeRozan. So we hear that the Heat are interested. Even the Caleb Martin sign and trade has been talked about. Then we hear that the Heat may be priced out of DeMar DeRozan sweepstakes. Then we hear that the Kings could be interested. We've heard that the Bulls are interested in Kevin Huerter. And then hear that now this is the first that we've heard of the Bulls being unwilling to take contracts back in a DeMar DeRozan sign and trade, which means that if DeMar is signed and traded to any team, that a third team would have to be involved, and the Bulls may be looking more so to get picks back, whereas the salary portion of it gets rerouted to another team. So that's really the first that we've heard, that the Bulls have a complete unwillingness to take on contracts. I'm not saying that we need to believe it wholeheartedly. Take that with a grain of salt as well. I just think that this situation is very fluid, and I also think that the Bulls are having different conversations with different teams when it comes down to it. Maybe the Bulls are unwilling to take contracts from a team, a certain team, but are willing to take maybe a different contract back from another team that's also discussing trying to get a sign and trade facilitated with DeMar DeRozan. I ultimately hope that this ends in DeMar DeRozan finally finding a spot by the end of the week. I really hope that we know where DeMar DeRozan is going to be. I would hope so before the weekend breaks out. I'm not guaranteeing that that's going to happen, but I hope that that's the case, because this saga around DeMar DeRozan, all the conflicting reports, all this, the Bulls being unwilling to take on any type of contracts back, to me, I get it in the sense that the Bulls have one open roster spot, and maybe they're looking to open up more roster spots in a potential Zach LaVine deal, Nikola Vucevic deal. So if they can sign, sign and trade DeMar DeRozan without filling that last roster spot, that gains them more flexibility. Keep in mind, DeMar is not counted as one of the roster spots for the Bulls right now because he's an unrestricted free agent. So if they do take back any contract, that will put the Bulls at their full 15-man roster, which does limit their trade talks elsewhere because they're expected to still have it. And I'm not even saying in this offseason, the Bulls could want to leave an open roster spot there potentially heading into the season in case anything presents itself between now and the trade deadline as well. So because of all those things, it kind of surprises me that the Bulls are unwilling to take a contract back. But at the same time, it makes some sense for where the Bulls are right now if that ends up being the case. So, keep this. The situation is very fluid. The situation is very up and down. And I don't think we'll have a really good answer until it happens. I think that if a DeMar DeRozan signing trade does happen, he finally ends up on a team, it's going to be something that may surprise everyone. In my opinion, because that's just how conflicting the reports have been so far. But let's go ahead and see how you guys are feeling about this. Zaquan says, I wouldn't mind Caleb Martin on the Bulls. I wouldn't either. Caleb Martin is the type of player that I think as a role player, I mean, he brings exactly what you want. He's basically what I had hoped Torrey Craig would be last season, if that made sense, right? Like, Caleb Martin is a solid enough role player. Is he great? No, but he doesn't really hurt you in a lot of areas either. He gives effort defensively, gives effort offensively as well. He's not like this terrible minus player on defense, whereas he's like a good player on offense. He's just solid. Caleb Martin is an overall solid player that I like. 28 years old. So, not over the hill or anything. He averaged 10 points per game last season on 43% shooting, and he's a career 35% three-point shooter, taking 3 of them per game. Again, not amazing numbers, but that's the type of player that can fit in really on any system, and that's what you like about Caleb Martin if he does end up coming to the Bulls. So this is a new rumor. Yeah, it's another one. It's a steady stream of them, unfortunately. In a world of fantasy, Caleb and Keegan for DeMar, that is hilarious, but I don't know how you guys don't know some of these players. Like that's what Caleb is a good role player. Yeah, he's a solid enough role player. Damn good reporting, bro. Keep up the great work, family. I appreciate that. It's not going to stop here. When news breaks, we break. Just get picks and give Javonte that last spot. We don't have a player like Javonte. We need that. I mean, and I do think there is something to that. When you look at the way Javonte Green impacted the Bulls, and the fact that we haven't heard anything about him, I would probably lean me to think that maybe him and the Bulls have talked about something and he's going to come back. So what's good, Haize? I like Caleb for the Bulls. DeMar on the Heat would be interesting. It'd be interesting because it's like him and Jimmy taking all those mid-range shots. We'll see there. Bro, your sets are clearer than some TV sets. What equipment do you use, man? I got to know. Camera wise, I use the which one is this one? Because I have a different one on the other set. So this is the Lumix. What is this one called? The Panasonic it's a cinema camera. It's a camera made to make movies. And then I have the Sigma 24 to 50 lens on it. That's a 1.8. Really good. Heat players are cursed with injuries like Kendrick Nunn and Gabe Vincent. I mean, they're not all cursed with that, but hey, there's some of that there. At this point, if the Bulls are able to help DeMar DeRozan get traded, great. If they don't, oh well. Yeah, agree with you. And that's probably where the Bulls sit at it. Well, it's like, listen, I said that on today's earlier episode, is that the Bulls sit in a position where they do hold the power. I know it may not seem like that, but they do hold the power. And so if a team is really needing a signing trade to get DeMar DeRozan, the Bulls literally can be like, hey, you can't get him without a signing trade. We want 2 second-round picks, and we don't want to take any salary. You go find the third team to take those players. Let's make sure that we walk away from 2 second-round picks. Now, we haven't seen AK always negotiate from the best place, but, it seems like things are a little bit changing, so we'll see with that. Is he on a 1 year? So if it's a double signing trade, it would have to be 3 years. If you sign and trade, it has to be a 3-year deal. All years don't have to be guaranteed, but it does have to be a 3-year deal. So PB and Patch in the building says Caleb isn't a bad pickup, better than his twin Cody. I mean, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from with that one. Are they going to give Javonte the full biannual? I mean, they have the rest of their mid-level. So they have about the same amount left of the mid-level exception as they do the biannual exception. Keep in mind, the biannual exception, if you can avoid using it, you can kick that off to next year. So I would think it doesn't mean that it's going to be true, but the Bulls are probably going to try to sign Javonte for the rest of the mid-level exception. That way you hold on to your biannual. That way you can push it off down to next year, or you can also use it post if you need a buyout candidate or something like that. You can use it then. So the Bulls are going to be the number 1 seed in the East next year. Mark my words. They definitely will be a playing team. Those are the thoughts of a delusional. Yeah, those are very much the thoughts of a delusional fan. Hey, Haize, take the day off, man. It's July 4th. My people weren't free on July 4th, so I mean, I'm not worried about it, bro. Like, I mean, my studio's in my house. That's the benefit of me building the studio here. Like, I can, I'm going right after I get done with this. I'm going right back to drinking, my boy. I got a blueberry, a Crown Royal blueberry lemonade upstairs waiting on me right now, my boy, and a beer. So listen, I'm going right back to drinking. It ain't no hesitation there. No hesi. How you feel about the Warriors getting Buddy to replace Clay? I don't care. It's not the Bulls. I don't give a shit. I mean, it's a cool deal. I mean, they get a shooter, so it's cool there. I think Javonte should have that last spot. He only played a few games for us last season, but was having career nights every night. I mean, yeah, a lot of Bulls. I don't think many Bulls fans are gonna be mad at Javonte Green coming back to the Chicago Bulls. I don't think many Bulls fans will be mad at that at all. So, AA's be having me crying every time Javon Carter come up. He and ball headed over. Oh, every single time. I'm not gonna stop until he's not on the team. Every single time I mention Javon Carter's name, I'm gonna say ball headed up. It's period. It's not gonna stop. Not gonna stop. Do you think Zach and Vooch will show the development of the young core? Slow the development? I mean, Vooch, no. I'm not really worried about Vooch because of how his game is. I actually think he helps the development of a young core. Having a big man that can get rebounds, help you get out in transition. Yeah, he's going to get cooked defensively, but it seems like the Bulls have gone all in on offense. They ain't really cared about defense much at all besides, the re-signing of Patrick Williams and having Io here. It's going to be a rough defensive season for the Chicago Bulls, but, absolutely no one walks up to a black person on July 4th and says Happy Independence Day, bitch. That's hilarious. Oh, man. Which team will call to take Lonzo expiring contract during the season? I have no idea. None. I'm not even going to front on you like I have one. I have no idea at all. I don't even know who would take Lonzo Ball's contract out. Now, if he's bought out, if the Bulls buy him out, I'm sure they're going to be teams that are willing to take a shot on Lonzo Ball. But as far as trading for him, I don't know, man. I don't know. Would you want Caleb or Green to be on this team? If I had my pick, Javonte, just because we've seen what Javonte can bring, and he brings energy. Not to say that Caleb Williams is like a player that doesn't bring energy at all, but there's very few players that bring the type of energy Javonte Green does. And so Javonte being a player that's always found a way to be productive. And I also think, and this is something that I will talk about eventually on a video, that we could get away with not playing as much small ball. And the reason why I mean that, we got Torrey Craig, we got Patrick Williams, we got Julian Phillips, we got Jalen Smith, who can be the 4 or who can play some 4 or some 5. So if all 4 of those players stay healthy, theoretically, Javonte can actually finally play the 2/3, which I think he'd be even more effective at. So that's what I really look at it. But we'll see. We'll see. Thank you. Thank you for dating that, Haize. The Declaration of Independence wasn't written for us. I mean, I don't even mean to get on no high horse. Like that kind of slipped out, right? Because I try not to be divisive for anybody, because I know a lot of people just want to talk sports. But like, yeah, I mean, let's be clear. My people weren't free on that day. So, yeah. Did I say Caleb Williams? My bad. Caleb Martin. My bad. The thing, too, is Billy's not an offensive-minded coach. We will be terrible next year. No, that's not true. Billy Donovan actually isn't a terrible coach. Is he like some dynamic offensive-minded coach? No, but he's not bad at drawing offensive schemes. He just needs a specific, like, Billy Donovan's offense always looks better when he has a point guard playing at a high level. That is why I think they prioritize getting Josh Giddey first, personally. So, what PC do you have? A custom-built PC. Everything's custom. So, yeah. Watch criticizing Javon. His wife may come after you. Well, she can't see me first. Like, her eyes are too crooked to try to see me. So this is a great question from DJ Lovelace. Where does earn a lot fit in that now? I mean, I think everybody's gonna have to earn, but let's be clear here. If Zach doesn't come back, right? If they can find a trade for Zach before, we're thin at the 3 spot. So Mattis Bucilis, Torrey Craig, Patrick Williams, Ernelat Batum can all play some 3. I think they still see Patrick Williams basically mainly as a 4. So I think Batum's going to have some opportunity there. I'm not going to say he's going to get a lot of minutes to start off with, but he has an opportunity to definitely earn himself some role. That's for sure. Well, you should be repping the Chicago Sky anyway. Like, it's not an either or thing. You should already be repping the Chicago Sky. By the way, check out Chicago Sky Central as well. I host that with Steve-O. But anyway, I also don't agree with people thinking that Billy Donovan's not going to be able to make progress with the young team. Let's look at OKC and how he had a good point guard to run his offense. We have one. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Haize is rich. No, I am not at all. Not at all. I think y'all gotta remember too. I'm also a solo parent of 4 beautiful children. So like I'm doing this all by myself. Like I really wanted to see more of Julian Phillips. I think we'll see. I think Julian Phillips is gonna have a huge, and I'm saying this in earn a role. That's why I keep phrasing it as earn a role. All these players are gonna have an opportunity to earn a role, but it's up to them to earn it. Up to them to earn it. Any updates on the teams? I know, but I mean, I don't know if we would hear very many updates off the over the off season for a role player. Like I'd be barely hearing for Lonzo if it wasn't for Lonzo posting as much as what he does. So I'm hoping everything goes right with Ernolop, and I think that may be why his shooting was so different. Like the first 3-4 games that he was playing, getting minutes, his shooting was on point, and then we saw that kind of fall off, and so that may be a reason because of the eye. So let's hope that that's the case. But all right, y'all. I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Over 500 of y'all in a random live. I really appreciate that, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the start of the season. We're almost at 19,000 right now, which is crazy because we've had tremendous growth. We are 55 away from 19,000 subscribers. So listen, there's 574 y'all in this live. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. I'm sure 55 of y'all are not subscribed to the channels, you freeloaders. Nah, but hit the subscribe button. Let's go ahead and get to 19K and then on the road to 20K, man. I love you guys. Go Bulls. See red, y'all. Peace.